conversation as well. They want to prove that teams from Asia Pacific are, not quite yet just as good as we head into the portal of Rocket League right now to begin our first game, the 3v3, but they are able to compete. And I think that DeToNator, if they overheard Coach Snatsky for Luminosity saying it's a warm-up, that will fire them.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to see them get wild with it, because this format is unlike any that we've seen, especially at this level. Our format is going to be games 1, 3, and 5 are all 3v3. That is locked in. However, the loser of game number 1, they will get to pick between 2v2 or 1v1 for game number 2. And then in game number 3, it is then the unused game mode. Say, for example, game number 2, the loser of game number 1 picks 2v2. It will then be 1v1 in game number 4. And to finish it off, if we go to 5, back to 3v3. So it's still got that 3v3 dominance. It's still primarily a threes tournament, but with that little bit of spice in there. And to kick it off, Burn is getting spicy against his opposition.
Anyone who thought this would be completely simple for Luminosity is proved wrong here. Look at Burn there from the ceiling, just completely taking the Luminosity defender out of the way. Maybe a sign that Luminosity are somewhat underestimating the speed and pace and indeed skill of the DeToNator players. Remember, everybody, DeToNator are the only team from APAC that have currently beaten anybody in a particular game on the international stage. They beat FaZe Clan back in winter. They got a game against them. They lost 3-1, but just getting that game on Forbidden Temple, one of my favorite games of Rocket League ever when they won it.
Yeah, it was something that, we'd never seen before. Talking about the APAC region finally going close in a series versus G2 originally in fall, and then taking one off FaZe in winter. It was something that we wanted to see for a very long time.
And I mean, FaZe are a much better team, I'm sure is not too controversial a statement to say, than Luminosity as well. So if they can do it against them, they can certainly do it against the boys in blue right now. But good pace from Tonks to get a top as well.
I do think calling it a warm-up is a very, very strong statement, but Tonks is going to be proving his coach Snatsky, proving him correct as he just goes down the field, touched on by Atomic, manages to take Burn almost entirely out of that play, can't quite dive across it in front, and they're leveling up a goal for Luminosity, bringing them even once again. But a warm-up, Cole, that wording as a sportsman is an interesting way to go about a series, I think.
You have to let it inspire you if you're in the other team rather than fearful. And I mean, DeToNator, they do have more LAN experience internationally than Luminosity, a team that haven't made it to a major just yet. They broke into the top 6 in EU once in winter in the regionals, but in the most recent spring split, they weren't able to break there at all. And right now, they are being broken down again by that man Burn.
It's something that is going to be, I think, quite interesting for a lot of RLCS and Rocket League fans generally to be looking at, where DeToNator taking that lead and being very, very competitive. I wonder how Snatsky, the coach of Luminosity, is going to be looking at this series and how it develops. Does he turn it around and say, okay, fair play, they're better than we anticipated, and we need to, take it into the 2s, the 1s, etc. Because I would say the Luminosity are the clear favourite team in the 2s and the 1s.
I mean, there's 2 of them going for every ball right now for Luminosity, so they've not completely reverted their play style of being as expansive as possible, as Burn shows off the wall dashes there, chaining a few together and getting in the way with a really solid 50-50. And again, Nikan beating Atomic to the ball. I think this DeToNator pace, it certainly surprised me, and it is most certainly shocking Luminosity.
Yeah, the fact that Luminosity have gone down relatively early in this game as well as we approach halftime, it's going to certainly be weighing on their minds. But the 2s and 1s are what makes Gamers8 a completely different beast of competition, and something that we're very, very excited to show you guys later on. Great chance to shoot, a great chance to score for Atomic, leveling up again, but chasing the tail of DeToNator.
A double commit there for DeToNator, and as soon as you do that once at this level, you are going to be punished, especially when it is the Luminosity star man, Atomic. He is most likely to be playing their 1v1s a little bit later, and will almost certainly be in their 2v2s. He's the man they look to rely on, to dig them out of the sort of hole they found themselves in twice so far against DeToNator. As he also gets that one towards Atomic, what can he do? Bouncing off the wall, showing those 1v1 skills, keeping that momentum going as he just glides from one ball touch to the next. Here is Ixo going from the ceiling this time. Khan there gets demoed as well. So just now, for the first time, Luminosity really starting to exert their dominance.
Yeah, Luminosity, they need to get something going relatively shortly, because this game, as it trickles away, is going to be harder and harder to catch back up to. The challenge comes in the midfield. Atomic up high towards Ixo on the backboard, gets the flip reset and the shot. Isn't able to score it. Tox had a really great opportunity to score there finally falls the three-man play, breaking down the DeToNator defense.
Lovely assist there from Ixo, who'll be a little bit annoyed at Tox for not sinking that one home, so we can get the flip reset double tap assist. But I'm sure when he looks up at the scoreboard to see that it's 3-2 now to Luminosity, he won't care all that much. And for the first time, the EU team, they have the lead in this game and in this series.
I wonder how DeToNator are going to be taking on having to chase at this point as well, because they have, as you said, been taking the lead. Chance for them to prove that they can come back from a goal down as well, as Tox catches it on the right-hand side, goes into the corner, backboard read from Burn, sends it high. Lunatic goes up, trying to find his final player, but instead Ixo able to clear it away. Burn, a shot chance. Sorry, Mikan shot chance rather. Lunatic to the backboard, towards Burn in the corner, and again, a couple of touches, slowing it down in defense, wanting to keep control of that ball and not just sending it back to Luminosity to give them more opportunities to attack.
DeToNator, a team who, since bringing in Lunatic for Olympics, are used to winning in their region. I believe they won a couple of the regionals in the most recent spring split, despite not quite qualifying, unfortunately for them, for the spring major. So it's been a massive roster change that they've shown, and we're seeing how effective it is. Now, they are really putting in a good performance right now against Luminosity, but you do just feel that Luminosity have warmed up. Tox is chucking in the fakes. Luminosity are starting to feel it just that little bit more.
Wanted to juke any of the players from DeToNator to the side as we see lovely red controller in the bottom corner.
Very nice.
Good chance though for Tox to shoot, but it was saved away in the end. Ixo now pushing with zero boost. Challenges versus Lunatic, goes up high. Burn to send it on forward towards Lunatic in the corner, but Atomic with his speed. Mikan now on a challenge. They need to chase this one goal, otherwise Luminosity get game number 1 in our inaugural Gamers8 match.
Luminosity now showing their experience, making sure that ball ends up as far away from their goal line as it possibly can. DeToNator are trying to be as speedy as possible still. But Luminosity seems to have got the read on that one. So towards Mikan. Can he clear it anywhere with any real intention? Not quite that time, but something has maybe been set up.
5 seconds remain. Mikan again going to shoot, but as it falls back into the incorrect half, Atomic can send it long for the halfway line, and despite trailing, despite us thinking that DeToNator, wow, maybe they're going to be winning our first opening game, they fall to Luminosity in the 3v3. But we've been saying about this format,
yes.
Now it is time to see. Are we going to see DeToNator, the losing team from game number 1, choose either a 2v2 match or a 1v1 match?
It's very exciting times right now, yeah. I mean, the way it's set up, we won't necessarily see 2v2s and 1v1s. What I do think we will necessarily see is Atomic lining up for Luminosity, one way or another, whichever one it might be. He certainly is an amazing mechanical player.
He'll be in either. He'll either be their 1v1 player, as Johnny was alluding to, or he's going to be in their 2v2. And the beauty of this, you can mix and match. Okay, you know what? Someone's form is off today. They lost their first game. That's fine. We'll chuck Ixo in, for example.
Based on what I saw just there, if it is 2v2, I would imagine that Ixo would jump in alongside Atomic. He's looking pretty hot right now. Got that flip reset assist. Well, assist, hockey assist, as I believe our American friends call it. So he's looking pretty good. Whereas Tox, I think the reason that in qualifiers they played with him is a little bit more defensive, maybe a little bit more balanced. And I spy something. What's that you can see in the background there, Stumpy?
So Atomic and Tox are going to be lining up to take on the 2v2 versus Mikan and Burn. So 2s is chosen by DeToNator, and what a lovely graphic. I love that. In the middle of the screen, but all of the fantastic audience are going to be able to see what the matchup is going to be. So now it's a bit of time off for one player on each side. They can look at their friends' monitors, see what's going on. Maybe they can even coach a little bit alongside.
I think if they tried to coach alongside, the people playing would not be impressed by that. I think they'd be like, okay, look, all right, Ixo, you go and do a Rubik's Cube or something. I'll play the Rocket League, okay? I'll carry us to an extra $10,000 minimum prize money for winning this series, because every time you win in a $2 million LAN, that prize money just ramps its way back up, especially with these sort of mini double elimination groups we've got going on.
And winning just this first matchup for any given team, it gets you immediately $10,000 more, because you're then going to, at worst, go out in the lower semi-final. So you're not going to be quite in last place. But the 2v2 looks like it's going to be kicking off very, very shortly. And it's something that I think we're not going to know too much about DeToNator for this, because Luminosity, they are the more proven team in pretty much every game mode you see, and us as Europeans, we see them play these 2v2s a lot more often. All the pros grind them, and Atomic showing that hard work off.
Iso just leans back in his chair and thinks, this is going to be an enjoyable watch.
Gets the Rubik's Cube out.
Yeah, exactly. Doc's like, well, I didn't think you meant that literally, but all right, fair enough. Yeah, the early lead for Luminosity is what DeToNator did not want at all. 16 seconds in, they're already behind us. A little fake kickoff comes in there. Falls to Atomic. What can he do mechanically? He's got the flip reset. Bumps are flying in, and he just fakes his way under. And I think what we're going to see, these series where there is a disparity between the quality of the two teams, 2v1 and 1v1 will exacerbate that a lot further than threes.
Yeah, at the back, it was just a case of Mikan having to avoid Tox, who initially went for that kickoff, veers to the side, tries to get a demolition behind the ball, so then it's be an open net for the following up player. But instead, he can just get some bumps, make it awkward. Atomic flip resets and get the goal much more simple. But 2 goals within 25 seconds, and DeToNator chasing.
They are chasing, and it's working. Once again, pace being the way that DeToNator make it through Luminosity. There was a bit of a double commit here. Atomic, actually there wasn't earlier on. But here was a double commit. Yeah, Burn was going for that one, as was Mikan. So they got there in the end, it was Burn. So fair play, DeToNator do get themselves right back into it. Maybe a warning sign for Luminosity.
And fantastic vibes over at DeToNator too. Both Burn and Mikan having a laugh, having a giggle, showing, look, you know, we're here to experience, we're here to do well ultimately, but if we're not having good vibes, then what's the point?
Ball straight from the ceiling, that one almost found its way in. A huge demo on Atomic. Tox with the in and out save, sinks it well. Good thinking there from Tox, one of the thinking players. Gets the early flip there towards Atomic. And it's just going to be Luminosity trying to put this ball further forward as much as possible. DeToNator relying on these counter-attacks, and they have shown signs, not only the goal, but the one that almost found its way in from the ceiling.
Pressure from Luminosity beginning to build once again. Up and under. Once that right-hand post, Tox was not able to score that, but certainly feeling it. Iso in the first game, we thought he might be joining Atomic, but instead Tox being able to carry it full length. The defender able to clear that one away, but again towards the relatively open net, ends up going near post where Burn can clear it away. Mikan onto that right ball, but a double commit from Luminosity. It does go fast, they won't be punished, and in fact, nearly get a chance to score.
Oh, that was a little bit ugly for a second though. Maybe it was all part of the plan and they were trying to surprise DeToNator. They certainly shocked me by going for that ball. I think it was Atomic who was erroneous. Lovely fake there from Mikan. And DeToNator, after that start where they were pretty outclassed, have stepped their game up. Atomic has to be strong for this 50-50 and is, but yeah, DeToNator really grown into this one.
One of the biggest issues with 2v2 and the way that you see a lot of teams end up losing in this game mode, in ranked and anywhere that you see it played, is as soon as both players commit down the other side, it's over. It's absolutely done for, because you just need to, if one passing play goes awry, then you lose it. That ball falls to your opponent. Mikan ends up trying to fake that one low, instead Tox just challenge it high. And so with the demo, Burn couldn't take a hard shot, not quite on the same page, should have just hit it, but instead manages to take control.
Mikan though is an absolute menace with these bumps and demos. He might have a double tap as well. Not quite. Real opportunity there for him though. Burn's going to come in with a 50-50 as well. DeToNator looking maybe a little bit better right now. These bumps and demos are really making Luminosity get pulled out of position defensively.
It's excellent pressure. But they're sending the ball high when they know that Luminosity have very little boost. They're putting the ball in awkward positions. If you keep doing that, a goal is surely on its way.
There you go, Burn. How are your mechanics? You've got boost, you've got a goalkeeper who's on the floor, you've got it over him, but Tox from the side, just showing that 2v2 game sense. Knew that Atomic was in a little bit of trouble. This DeToNator continued to knock on that door. Atomic hit this guy, but he's beaten by Burn again. How many times can this speedy play work? Maybe Luminosity are going to start predicting it soon. Is Burn going to win this race past Atomic? Oh, yes he has!
With the fake as well, slows it down entirely. And Burn gets one wave dash, waits, stops and slows, challenges low. And lo and behold, Burn, the second goal for DeToNator.
That's why you have to love 2v2, is it is 2v2 on the scoreboard as well. Just those chances to see these players take that time and use that space, show off their creativity and find a way to get past the defenders in front of them. He's trying that now. Has he got his flip reset? I think he angled it just a little bit. So Burn can get this one away. DeToNator, what a comeback so far.
I think there's opportunities here for Atomic to see what Burn has done to him, and he will want to return that to him.
Do you reckon there's ego in this as well?
I think 2v2 is a very ego-y game mode, because that can happen. Tox knew that his teammate was a little bit downtrodden, wanted to bring him back up, catching wonderfully off his own pinch, speeding the ball up and flicking so fast. Center of the goal, 102 kilometers per hour. Luminosity taking the lead 3-2.
I think Burn just found himself a little bit central in defense there as well. It meant he was traveling a pretty jagged straight line towards the goal. Now is the question, are DeToNator going to collapse? The last game was 4-2 in the end after DeToNator had taken the lead twice. This one was only 1 goal in it with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. But Luminosity continuing to press. As Atomic, he's slowing it down now. The pass is there if he wants it. He does.
Yeah.
Tox sinks it. Beautiful Rocket League. 4-2.
Good passing across from Atomic with the flip reset. Takes it low and fakes out Burn. Does exactly what he wanted to do. And again, Luminosity, although they trailed just a smidge, they managed to bring it back over onto 4-2, just like game number 1. And for any clever vlogs in the audience, remembering the format of this competition, game 3 is going to be a 3v3 every single time. Every odd-numbered game is a 3v3. So Luminosity take this. They're the stronger threes team as well, so you might be looking at series over if DeToNator cannot wrangle it back. Well, they've got 40 seconds and it's 2v2. A couple of goals in that amount of time is certainly not out of the ordinary. They just have to time these challenges really well. We have a very stranded Burn right now, and Atomic has boost, and he's got the flip reset, but it is over him. A bit desperate though from DeToNator, which is fair. You know, they're sort of a bit boost stars, a little bit out of position. They can't quite break free, but the positioning from Luminosity is absolutely perfect. They're just giving DeToNator enough space to clear the ball to them, and then just pinning them back into that. Covering all avenues, making sure that they can't work out of their own half, and it's burned enough time off the clock to take it to 5 seconds remaining. DeToNator aren't able to get 2 more goals. Will it be another late one? Echoes of game number 1, the 2v2, victorious by Luminosity, and in game number 3, we see the return of EXO and a potential 3-0. If that trio continues to thrive. Now here's a question for any statisticians out there watching this. Have we ever had a series that's had a 0-second goal in every single game in that series? Because we've had 2 in a row. First to make it 4-2, that one to make it 5-2. I'm also curious if there has there ever been only 0-second goals that don't actually affect the outcome because it's already sort of more than 1. It was great to see your mind work in that moment to think how to phrase that. Did I get it? I wasn't listening, I was looking at your face. I'm going to be honest. That's fine. We can look at the clip later and see if it made sense. DeToNator, I have been impressed by them. I genuinely, truly have been very impressed by DeToNator here because, as Johnny was saying, they weren't the top team in their region for a very long time. They only just about made it through because one team wasn't able to qualify for the playoff tournaments and they could go to a major event. What a story. And then they are here again as one of our invited teams. So congratulations to them for getting here and for having more and more of this experience before they head over to Dallas in August to compete in our world. Twisted Minds, sorry. That was my bad. I wrote that down wrong, like I said. Very, very cool logo. Very cool logo. It's like snakes and stuff. It's really sick. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be one of those teams where you look at the bracket and you think maybe Luminosity has a little bit of a gimme here. Maybe they are looking and thinking, wow, we've done well. We've not got Falcons or Dignitas, 2 of the favourite teams in the competition, both of which are in the exact same group. So Luminosity, with the return of EXO, are going to be hoping that they can take it down 3-0 and go with the prophecy that this was a warm-up. But the last time we had a 3v3 between these 2 teams, DeToNator did take the lead on 2 separate occasions, so we'll be going back to that experience. But I mean, it seems that Luminosity are 2 times as quick as they were at the start of that first game, which is understandable. Yeah. You know, teams tend to warm up in series like this, and look at that from Atomic to see that. It's such a nice pass, to be able to take that down, and then he lands in a great position so that despite Tox's opportunity to go for that shot, no matter where it goes, he can send it, he can get it towards that left-hand side, and does so absolutely fantastic. And Luminosity, again, with an early lead. The fact they keep on doing this makes it so much harder for DeToNator to try and build that momentum. I do have a sneaking suspicion that Luminosity are going to run away with this one, but I have been wrong before, and it's up to DeToNator to prove me wrong again. We saw a lot from Burn in the first game, we saw so much from Burn in the 2v2s, but it's Luminosity that we're seeing everything from run out. God, from the ceiling, just bang it. Just absolutely smash that one, EXO. Does so, and the middle of the net is his enemy. 130 kilometers per hour and 2-0 for Luminosity Gaming.
Luminosity, who, if they can win this series, will have G2 next. I mean, at this point, surely part of what they're thinking is a warm-up for that series, which will ultimately be more difficult for them. There's more pressure on it. If they can win that, you know, suddenly they're veering towards the playoffs, towards the bigger money.
Yeah, G2, of course, we're talking about them later on anyway, but they're an interesting team in this tournament. They are not built for this tournament. They are built for 3v3s. Unlike you look at other teams, as we've mentioned, Falcons, we've mentioned Dignitas as well. We don't see G2 in that same light, but Luminosity, they are proving that they can do pretty much everything on this pitch, although against not one of the top competition here. DeToNator with their chance. They're still at the lowers. Double elimination is going to be their friend.
Yeah, I mean, if they do lose 3v3 Luminosity, I'm thinking ahead now, I should probably stop doing that, but just in case they do, you know, the 1v1s, they'll be thinking that's a huge opportunity for them. So Luminosity, they could go deep into this competition and guarantee themselves at least a top 8 or so with a decent day's work. But you still have to beat what is in front of you as DeToNator, forcing that ball towards the goal. And again, after conceding a couple of quick-fire goals, Tox does his own series of chain dashes. Very well done, Tox. DeToNator have stepped up after going behind.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a change of pace. It's not just come down to, you know, Luminosity scoring 2 times in 40 seconds or so.
What a finish.
Instead, it's 3 times in 2 minutes, but DeToNator, they had a really good mid-game. They weren't letting that ball come too close towards their net until it finally does. And Tox, the pixel perfect shot, just about squeezes its way in. If that's a touch to the right, that bounces straight back out to it.
Threading the needle as well. It was such a nice finish. Just to get that one to the top corner. The one gap there was in that DeToNator goal, and he managed to find it. I think if I'm Snasky now, I'm just making sure they keep their concentration up because, you know, you are still on a stage, you are at a LAN, there is still $2 million to play for. You have to keep that concentration up because as soon as you can see it gets more tough, but oh no, Lunatic. It gets in the way of Burn. I think Burn was coming in to put that one away, but the ball just fell on top of Lunatic, and a chance to get back into it for DeToNator goes begging.
Halfway through the game, but very much 2/3 through the series, potentially DeToNator are chasing a goal. They've done pretty well with that previously, but they certainly like to go ahead beforehand. But slowing it down, Burn was not in position. It fell. He had a chance, but defended regardless.
Yeah, Luminosity, they can be a very defensive team, and they have to be. Not afraid to dig deep when they're up against the better teams. So when they have DeToNator with pressure against them, they'll be more than equipped to be able to deal with that. And it helps when you've got players with the carrying ability of Ixo, just to flick that one over the top, buy yourself some space. And then Atomic to the ceiling. He's starting to have some fun going for that bounce ceiling shot. First killer-esque almost, but well defended by DeToNator on that occasion. And good speed from them as well.
Good midfield play from Tox, slows it down, has to force that ball to go high. Atomic again to the skies, manages to get it over the top of Burn, but Lunatic's positioning, brilliant. Gets himself right behind where Burn was, can then pick up the ball, and then this entire play is built off his bravery.
Tomic's just getting past 2 of them. Is that ball going to find its way in the goal? No, not quite. Lunatic just not giving Atomic an inch right there. And 3 DeToNator players charge that ball down. They'd love
Stampede.
a goal. Go on, get yourselves back in the game. You can do this. Someone put it away.
There was a demo.
Yeah.
It closed out that entire opportunity. Then down the other side, a swiping across the net save. Manages to keep that one away. Still just 3-0. Ixo wants to challenge that ball again, but Tox, that's such close positioning, making sure that that's not exiting the final orange third. And under a minute, 3 goals needed. You better wish for one every 20 seconds, DeToNator.
Yeah, they're pretty much doing defensive drills at the moment, just trying to keep the ball out their goal as long as they can. You can see that's why Lunatic is defending so deeply right now. But Luminosity just going to keep on coming. They'll be able to see this one away. They've, in the end, made light work of a series that was just looking at the start, but it was going to get a little bit tricky for them. He slows things down, goes for the charge. And I mean, yeah, Luminosity, they've done a professional job against DeToNator.
Do what they needed to do. Knew that the competition was, on paper and on the pitch, a weaker team than them. Good chance though for DeToNator to close out the game, but it's just towards the end, when it was 2-0, they then end up losing that game in the final minute 4-2, and then did the same in the 2v2, lost it 5-2. Tried to chase that tail, was not able to. 5 seconds, 3 goals cannot come in. DeToNator are going to be going into the lower bracket, whereas Luminosity progress through, and they will be playing against one of the best teams in North America, G2.
Yeah, G2, a formidable opponent. They didn't have the best spring major by any means. They're very disappointed, but they did win the winter one on American soil, and they won it tremendously as well. They were so good back then, and it is, you know, still that same